It's no secret that when it comes to making money, musicians get absolutely f***ed. My name is Gabe and I play in a band called I Prevail. And over the past 10 years, I've gone from drumming in my mom's basement to touring around the globe and being nominated for 2 Grammys. I grew up having tons of people telling me that there's no guaranteed path to making a living as a pro musician. But what if that's outdated thinking? Most people are just going about it the wrong way. So I'm gonna walk you through 5 steps that I took that allowed me to become a pro musician, and a lot of them are easier than you might think. Let me walk you through the first 5 years of trying to make money. And it's so easy and almost no one does it. I promise you, if you actually do this, you will get gigs. So how do we win? Well, it doesn't look good because stats show that only 0.4% of musicians can earn an income from Spotify streams alone. I'm not saying 4%, I'm saying 0.4%. That is so unreasonable. So what options do we have to actually earn an income playing the instrument that we love? Well, I'll tell you what I did when I was working in construction full-time and wanted to move into full-time drumming. I developed something called the Quit Your Day Job framework. Step 1 is incredibly simple and one that everyone actually skips over, and that is determine how much money you actually want to make from playing music. For me, I was absolutely crushing it in construction and making $20,000 a year. We'll get into more numbers in a second, but that was the amount that I needed to replace with drumming. For step 2, you need to focus on making money as soon as you possibly can. I call this the now money. What can you do right now with your instrument to make money? The options I came up with are gigging, teaching, playing at churches, and pursuing recording opportunities. We'll get into how to find these opportunities here in a second. For me, all I had to do was find 4 drum students a week and 3 gigs a month. That alone allowed me to go part-time as a drummer in Michigan. Step 3 is to work on getting future money. These are going to be the opportunities that allow you to be a full-time musician for a very long time without getting consistently burnt out from gigging every single night and teaching every single day. Here are 5 ways that you can make money with this right off the bat, but we're going to address this in a lot more detail pretty soon. Making money from music is a brutal experience because everything is on the line. Now, most musicians want more gigs, and almost no musicians have an actual tangible system for getting more gigs. And that's exactly what we're gonna get into, the Now Money framework. Step 1 is to create your musician reel. Now, this is maybe the most singularly important thing that you can do as a musician, and it's so easy and almost no one does it. Your musician reel is a professional level video of you playing along to a couple songs. That's it. The purpose of this is to present your musicianship in the most professional way you possibly can. And I can already hear the excuses. Gabe, I don't have microphones. Gabe, I don't have cool lighting. Gabe, I don't have cool cameras. Gabe, I don't have a place to record. Yeah, I didn't have any of that either. When I first started, every single time I wanted to film a video, I would tear down my drum set, I would pack it in my car, I would drive to my brother's basement, I would load up my entire drum set the whole thing up, borrow any recording gear that I could possibly get my hands on. You can rent stuff out, you can ask friends for gear, or if you really want to, you can buy cheap equipment that you can get a lot out of. But once you film that and put it together, you will have your first musician reel that you have to feel good about. And if you don't, guess what? Redo it. Refilm it. This has to be good. You have to hold yourself to a high standard, to a high level, so that you stand out above everyone else who has lower standards for themselves, which is most people. Now, step 2 and 3 are the most important thing that you can do to consistently get more gigs, more students, more recording opportunities, and no one does it. So first, let's talk about more shows, getting more gigs, playing with more people. You're going to take your musician reel, copy and paste this text on screen. Feel free to make it your own. You are going to post this everywhere. So create a profile and post on Vamper, on Hendrix, on bandmix.com, on Thumbtack, on Upwork, on Facebook groups, on Craigslist, and even reach out to your local churches. And if you want to get really smart about it, you can look for where the money is. Gigs that pay better are corporate gigs and wedding gigs. If you want more teaching gigs, do the exact same thing with this post, and you can post it on Craigslist, Nextdoor, Facebook groups, local churches, and even local schools who might be looking for teachers who can help their students. And for recording, honestly, a lot of them would be the same as those sites that you would look for gigs. Now, here's where things are going to get fun. You are going to reach out to 25 different people or 25 different groups every single day for 3 months. I promise you, if you actually do this, you will get gigs. And yep, that is a lot of work. But when you are looking to build these opportunities, you are essentially building on nothing. And all you need is one opportunity that will feed you more and more opportunities. During this time, just say yes to everything. It's only until your schedule is full of opportunities that you can start saying no and prioritizing the best ones. I took my preparation so seriously that I had the expectation that I was always going to be the most prepared person in the room. And the reason why this is so important is because when you land one gig, you are instantly in front of 4, 5, 6 other people who have other gigs, who have other opportunities where you can be recommended. And this worked for me so well that church that I eventually landed the audition at, because I was so prepared all the time, that sound guy ended up working for I Prevail and then recommended me as their drummer. So that's why you always have to be the most prepared person, because you never know what the next opportunity is going to be. Now, finding gigs is hard, but the process that I just laid out is going to make it a lot easier, which is good because it's a vital step into making long-term money from your music. But none of this will actually work if you don't first have pro-level skills on your instrument. I'm gonna be brutally honest with you. You are not as good as you think you are. If you're not where you want to be right now in your music career, it's most likely because of a skill deficiency. Whether that skill deficiency is in your playing, in your networking, in your marketing, in your songwriting, way too many musicians blame their circumstances on outside factors. And this is what keeps musicians stuck in the same place year after year. Now, the first skill that we need to address here is the skill of your actual instrument. So let's talk about the pro level skills framework real quick. The first thing that you have to do with yourself is be brutally honest and identify what your weakest areas of your instrument are. Order them in list of priority and now create a weekly plan around these weak exercises of yours. Now, here's what no one will actually do. You have to track your progress for progressive overload. So that means that every single day that you practice, you are writing down your starting tempos and your ending tempos and taking video of yourself working on the thing. And you cannot move on to the next thing or end the practice session until you've done it better than you did the day or the week before. What happens is most musicians practice the same over and over and over again, but they never actually increase the tempo or isolate the problem area. So instead, they're just practicing bad habits and wasting way too much time not making progress. I promise you that if you force yourself to dig into your weaknesses, focus on the basics, and force growth out of yourself in each practice session, you will be so much further in a year than you thought possible. The second step in the pro level skills framework is mastering the art of song learning. So here is your song learning checklist. Every time you go to learn a song, if you follow this checklist, I guarantee you, you will learn songs a lot easier and a lot more accurately. Getting pro level skills is the first step to becoming a pro musician. But if you can't execute on this, it's going to be nearly impossible to go pro. I was trying to audition for this massive church that I really wanted to play at. It was in front of like 2,000 people every single weekend, and all the musicians there were insanely good. And looking back, I prepared like an idiot because I didn't know, and I showed up and I bombed, and they straight up told me, "You're not good enough." And for me, this was the clear moment when I was like, I think I'm done. But I had a mentor step in and say, "Hey, like there's something inside of you that I see. I think we can work on this together." And it was only because of that I didn't completely walk away from pursuing music altogether. He helped me dig into my weaknesses, and he gave me the accountability and support that I needed to move towards my goals. It's okay to not be good enough. That's just saying where things are for you right now. What's not okay is staying not good enough. And that's what my mentor was pushing out of me. Getting pro level skills is frustratingly difficult. And that's why I reverse engineered everything that I went through and created the Rockstar Drummer Mentorship. This program means so much to me because it's exactly what I wanted. I was begging for someone to show me the way. And it's so incredible to see so many drummers that remind me of myself get pro level skills fast so they can walk on stage feeling confident, whether it's in front of one person or 10,000 people. So if you want to work with me and other pro drummers to help you walk through this exact process every single week, well, we are looking for 10 intermediate to advanced drummers to apply. Click right up here to submit your application. It's not working. You're negative $1,000. What are you doing? I felt like I was building something. This is the most money I've ever seen in my entire life. You have to have an unwavering belief in yourself to keep pushing. So the other day I went to a bar and there was a band playing there. And me and the drummer started talking, but almost immediately he started sharing with me how exhausted he is from gigging nonstop. This guy works a full-time job and has been gigging multiple times a week straight from work for multiple decades. And none of it looked fun for him anymore at all. This is such proof to me that local gigging is not enough. So this is where the Future Money framework comes in. And this is what changed everything for me. There are 5 best platforms to pursue for making future money. Now, in order for any of these things to work, you need to first build an audience. Unfortunately, building an audience through gigging is just not what it used to be. You can do it. It is a slower process by about 1,000. So it's great to be able to do it, but if you really want to fast track your audience, it has to be online. A perfect example of this is I Prevail. Do you know how many shows I Prevail played before putting out a video that would get 70 million views? One. They played one show for about 20 kids. And then after they put out one video, the next show that they played was for a sold out crowd of 1,200 people. For them to go from 20 people to 1,200 people through playing gigs would have probably taken 15 years. But instead, it took about 1 month. And the key in all of this is to duplicate what works. Your very first goal should be to post 100 videos of just trying stuff out. In that process, you may or may not find formats that really work for you, but as soon as you do, as soon as you find one that performs well, repeat that in a new way over and over again. It's the ultimate shortcut. So I'd really encourage you to pick, why do I want to build this audience? Is it to build out a membership? Is it to promote my band? Is it to promote myself as an instrumentalist? That will help guide everything that you actually make. So if you're looking to build an audience, my challenge for you is this year, make 100 posts on one platform. And these 100 posts is just the start. It's a lot of work, but I promise, it is worth it. That's why growing your gig is brutal, but it's just because people don't have the patience for it, which is why we need to learn a little bit more about the elevation mindset. Let me walk you through the first 5 years of trying to make money through Drum Beats Online. The first year, when I was doing construction and I was doing some part-time gigging and teaching, I made $1,400 from Drum Beats Online. Hey, okay. First year, we're doing something a little bit. Now, after year 2 of consistently putting videos out every single week, I made $2,800. I doubled it. I doubled the number. So I kept grinding. I kept posting videos every single week. And at a certain point, I was posting 5 videos in 1 week. And for year 3, I made $2,700. $100 less than the year before. Now I want to pause here because this is why people don't pursue music. This is why people give up. This is 3 years of working really hard and making no money. If I had quit everything, if I had quit all my other jobs, I would have been making, what, $3,000 a year, an impossible amount of money to live on. And that's why people quit. That's why people don't do it. And that's why I want to reiterate how important it is to supplement the now money with maybe even a part-time job plus the future money, all working together. Now in year 4, Drum Beats Online made $6,000. Okay, we basically doubled it, but again, not enough to live off of. And after 5 years, posting like crazy, grinding as hard as I possibly could, I built this studio that I'm in right now with my entire life savings. I had negative $1,000 in my bank account. I made $34,000 in my 5th year. Now, that is a big jump from year number 4. That is also a relatively low amount of money to live off of, especially when you have been working as hard as I was working for that long of a period of time. I've got to be honest though, this is where mindset is so important because again, people in their right mind would be totally right to quit, to stop doing it. It's not working. You're negative $1,000. What are you doing? But I was genuinely stoked. I felt like I was building something. And if you can determine success as one more student, one more gig, one more view, one more dollar, doing something that you love doing, you're gonna be stoked each time to keep going. You have to have an unwavering belief in yourself to keep pushing because year 6 of Drumbeats Online, I made $170,000. I was finally at a place where I realized like, oh my God, like this is the most money I've ever seen in my entire life. This is really something. And it took me 6 years to get there. Can you imagine if I would have quit after even year 5, how close I was to substantially multiplying that number? But the road to get there was so slow. And the reason I'm making this video is to 1, show you that it's possible, 2, to tell you everything that I went through so that you can do it in a much shorter amount of time than I did. You have to have an elevated mindset, and it's one that balances a few key things together that will keep you going. 1, you have to have the expectation that you are going to work 2, 3, 4 times harder than everyone else around you to get what you want. If these are your expectations, you will not resist when things get hard because you're expecting them to be hard and you're expecting to push through them. I had to watch every single one of my friends get solid jobs and get cars that actually worked. Meanwhile, I was hanging out with negative $1,000 in my bank account, eating macaroni and cheese and rice and beans. But I can honestly say that it was all worth it. If you can take a few years of pain pursuing something that you love, for it to be worth it for a lifetime, are you gonna take that choice?